this is Martin John, and we're here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE and consists of all sorts of poetic and lovely text that helps us live a more reasonable life. The Tao Te Ching, can be translated into the way and helps us, and what it really kind of addresses is the way we should be living our life, the way nature works within all things. It could be translated into a whole bunch of things. I just like to look at it as Tao rather than have it translate into anything, because as the first verse of the Tao Te Ching says, words are particular. They cannot express Tao. And when we recognize that words aren't what we're living, right? We're not living life so that it can necessarily be expressed or explained. We're living life so it can be experienced. And it's experienced in such a deeper level than just mere explanation. I can tell you about something, but the experience that I had has very little to do with what I said. Sure, it could be conspicuously obvious that, like, these are the things that happened, but what's going on in my body, the difference of the way I feel about one thing from moment to moment, those things are going to shift and change, and those are always things are always happening to make that something that we something that we can't put words on. And I just clicked the random number generator, and the number we came up with today is 57. If you have a number you want to select for today, if you have a Tao you want to select for today, please don't hesitate to come up on stage, and we'll chat a little bit and ask you for a number. So as I was talking about, you can't know what's happening underneath the surface. Everybody has their own experience. As we live our lives, we can't live our lives expecting other people to understand what we're going through. We can help them understand what happened and why I feel what I feel, but the inner workings of everything are, they're a mystery. And respecting them as a mystery, I think, is important. We don't have to give up on trying to express or trying to communicate or trying to connect, because that's part of our lives and that's part of living. But again, everything that we're having, all the experiences we're having are subjective, so they're ours. Other people aren't going to understand them. But if we can, not play the victim, allow ourselves to step in and say, what's going on here? What's going on? What is it that I'm experiencing? Because what I'm experiencing is a continuation of what I'm putting out in the world. This is why we talk about things like law of attraction and other stuff like that. It's like somewhere along the line, I'm putting this out in the world. Can I locate where that is and stop it? Like the old Bob Newhart bit. If you don't know it, you can Google Bob Newhart Stop It. And he had a therapy, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like 7 minutes of therapy or whatever. And someone would come in and explain, like, this is what's happening to me. And then he would yell at them, stop it. So it's very, if you can get yourself to a place where you understand where, you're energetically attracting certain things, then you'll be able to, start removing some energy from that, so that maybe you don't have to have those experiences over and over again, right? Because everything can move in cycles. And as they move in cycles, we start to feel like we're the victims of them. Before I get too far, I want to make sure that I start my wireless hotspot, because I don't want to lose connectivity to you guys just in case my internet goes out. It's been going out, like 10 after or whatever. Like last week it went out, I think, twice, and I don't like it when it does that. So I remembered to put on my Wi-Fi or my wireless hotspot. Okay, so I picked number 57, and 57 is entitled Laws Are All in the Heart. And what this means is that, as a title, when I hear that title, and I've read this for a long time, so I know what this says. I mean, generally. But laws are all in the heart, meaning that you will be guided to do the right thing. You will be guided to be the perfect person that you were born to be. But you're not going to be able to pick up a book and learn how to do that. You're not going to be able to listen to a podcast and learn how to do that. You're not going to be able to, be under the influence of your parents your entire life and think you're going to understand everything that you're going to come across in your life. Laws are all in the heart. They're within you. They're prepackaged. It's like it's like when you buy a computer or something. It's like, oh, these are the preloaded apps. Well, the laws and your whole life and everything you need is going to be preloaded into your system. Mary's going to join me. I'm going to take a note that we're talking about 57. We're going to. Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Morning, love. I wanted to say hello, and I hope you're having an amazing day. And today is my first day back to college. It's my third semester. And so I had to jump on and say hi to my favorite one of my most favorite people in the entire world.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you popped up. Now, are you running right now off to school or?
No, I'm going to leave probably about 8:15. I think it only takes me like 15 minutes to get there. It's like right up the road basically. So yeah, I'm just kind of chilling this morning. I'm probably going to get on my treadmill for, hopefully like 15 minutes at least, maybe a half hour. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, just checking a couple things out through my schedule. I couldn't remember how long my human biology class was. I only take that twice a week. I go 3 days a week. And so I thought it was like 2.5 hours today or 2 hours today. And it's actually 3 hours today.
No, that's a big day.
Well, my other two classes are great. And I take two that are one is like a flex. I could either go to the class or I could watch the online after, which I prefer to do. And the other one is completely online. Okay. The other two I'm in class for. But human biology, because we have a prerequisite. Well, there's one that's in class and one that's a lab. And I was like, oh, God. So I read the course module after the teachers sent us everything. They sent us their hellos and stuff. And it said something about dissecting. I was like, no. Mary doesn't dissect. I'm like, I have no intention of dissecting my clients when I'm counseling them. Like I don't have any intention.
In some ways you do.
Well, yeah, you know what? And it's funny. You're right. I dissect them as they talk and try to break it down for them. And are you thinking the same thing? Because that's what I thought about after.
It's interesting. We look at words. And we often like associate them with specific things, but dissecting is, like you can dissect a topic, you can dissect all sorts of stuff. Like I dissected the Tao.
Are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Somebody tried calling and no.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't something I had to take. So, but you can dissect the topic and stuff. Yeah.
I don't want people to come up here and think they don't have to pick a number. So you do need to pick a number.
I already have it chosen. Are you kidding me? Number 18.
Good.
18, baby.
18?
18.
Oh, beautiful. Out of touch with Tao. This is very short.
Wow.
And this is about the dissolution of Tao. This is about what happens when we get out of touch with Tao.
Okay.
When out of touch with Tao, etiquette is observed. When etiquette cannot be abided, we find excuses to make it proper. When excuses gut the family, chaos favors the hierarchy. When all the neighbors are in chaos, blind loyalty is demanded. So,
Wow. That is short. Wow.
yeah, very short. So there is, and I really love this one, and I think this is important because you're heading off to school today. Mm-hmm. Because when out of touch with doubt, etiquette is observed. So there is a specific etiquette that we need to abide when we're engaging in institutions like school or, other institutions, right? There's certain etiquette. However, when you're in touch with Tao and you are open and flowing with, and we can talk about that as the spirit or whatever, when you are, there is a natural way of being.
Right.
And that natural way of being, like raising your hand or being studious or listening to the teacher or, not making a ruckus or not trying, not impeding other people's ability to learn. That would naturally sort of be like you can even see like when somebody goes up to children and tries to teach them something, they just sit and listen. They're not abiding etiquette. They're just naturally intrigued and want to learn.
Right.
Now, what it says here is when out of touch with Tao, because when you're in touch with Tao, you do what you are inspired to do.
Right.
But when you're out of touch with Tao, you need to observe etiquette. And that's what we've done in the world, right? We've said, this is what you do when you're in school. We're going to make all of these rules and you're going to follow all of those rules. Mm-hmm. When etiquette cannot be abided, we find excuses to make it proper. What that means is that if I can't abide etiquette, I'm going to find the excuse as to why I can't abide your etiquette.
You're right.
Whether that is my my dress code, whether that is my attitude, whether that is like because I'm causing a ruckus in school and it's like, oh, I don't like what you have to say, so I'm going to, shout over you.
Right, right.
So when etiquette cannot be abided, we find excuses to make it proper. When excuses gut the family, chaos favors the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So what that means is when everybody has excuses, and so it's gut the family isn't together anymore. Now you have on campus, let's just look at the school example that we're looking at. On campus, you have different factions now.
Yep.
Right? Because it started by them not being able to abide etiquette. And now the people that didn't want to abide etiquette have separated, and the people that did abide etiquette separated. Now we have different factions, and we have different groups of people that want different things, and they all feel like they're the important ones. Now, when that's gut the family, chaos favors the hierarchy. The hierarchy is who's got more money or who's got more attention, the school versus the students, certain groups of, what are those called? Like the groups of men and women that come together in the Greek things. Sororities and... Yep. And the other, right? Like they may have more power. So now they're going to get more preferential treatment. The chaos will favor the hierarchy, whereas the low people on the totem pole will stay there.
Right.
And then when all the neighbors are in chaos, meaning like when all the schools are in chaos, when all these institutions are in chaos, blind loyalty is demanded, meaning that those who are in the highest position, because hierarchy is important, those who are, the president of the school or the military or the, or the police in the area or whatever. Like, you're going to have to find blind loyalty, because if you can't be loyal to those the hierarchy of the institution, they're going to have to, you're going to, it's demanded that you give them that. Otherwise, you are going to be forced in one way or another to abide.
Wow. That is very true. And that does fit today. It fits the fact that I'm going back to school, and
Right. And as you go back to school, remember, there is etiquette, but there's also Tao. There's also what you are being called to do and to say and how to respond, and because that's not always going to be within etiquette. But as long as you are attached to Tao, as long as it is coming from you, then it is good. But if it is in reaction to, because you're trying to say, well, I didn't want to do that, you never need an excuse. Mm-hmm. You need an excuse when you do something outside of etiquette because you're trying to convince yourself it's right, even though you know it's wrong.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's true. People do that all the time, right? They don't want to look within themselves. What they want to do is they want to look around and say, okay, well, what I'm doing isn't wrong. It's because they did this. They brought this out of me. They caused this. It was, many people don't want to say it was me. It's always, it wasn't me.
Right. It was like, well, I was a victim of you.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. And I think, in so many times, right? And I don't know if it's here when I've talked it over with you or if it's been on other formats or other platforms here, but it's I think, maybe it was just something I wrote in my journal, honestly. Because journaling, I got to stay more consistent with it, but that's when I write it down, because when things come, I want to be able to look back and remember them. But it's basically, we have to trace it back. We always have to take accountability, because we all have a role in everything in our life, good or bad. But sometimes, even if it's something that we have to take accountability for, it's like, okay, yes, but it's okay to feel the feelings first. Go ahead, feel them. You got to get them out, right? If you feel like you need to wallow in self-pity for 2 days because something is happening and it's bringing out all these emotions, wallow in those emotions for a little bit. It's okay. Get them out. Let them go. Get past it. And then deal with the accountability. But it doesn't mean that when you're feeling those feelings and you need to get them out, that you stay stuck there. And it doesn't mean that in that time that you're feeling those feelings that you blame other people in that process, right? It's okay to know, you have to know that you played a role in it. And so, that's the most important part, is realize your role in it, not to blame others. Sit in the feelings for a couple of days, let them out, but then take charge of owning it. And what am I going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all on you, like it's ultimately.
It comes down to choices, Martin. That's all it ever comes down to, is choices. But talking it over, like with the discussions that you and I have had, wow, we have had some amazing discussions. Mm-hmm. And the different perspectives you've given me, holy cow. And so that's what's beautiful about having another person in your life that you can trust. That when they're telling you something isn't to hurt you, it's not to make you feel bad, it's not to harm you. It is to say, okay, well, have you thought about it like this? And it's to bring you full circle, to bring you full healing.
And remember, when I talk about so much of this, it's always like, this is your experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're having the experience of seeing a new perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yes, okay, you can look at it as if I'm the one that's giving you that perspective. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you're having an experience of, like, it's just simply that. It's like you're having the experience of seeing a new perspective, because just because I'm saying something doesn't mean that I'm saying what you're hearing. You're hearing what you're hearing because of the entirety of the experience of your life. Like, I don't know.
Hello? Are you there?
The perspective that I'm expressing. However, we can't ever know if that's true.
You're right. You're
So,
very, very right.
and all I'm doing is sitting here telling you that, like, yes, we've had great conversations, but really, you're the only one that knows that. Because maybe you don't know if I think the same. I mean, I do,
Right.
but like, you don't,
I was gonna
you
be like,
can't,
okay, what are you trying to say here, Martin?
you can't know if I think we've had great conversations. I mean, I've
Right.
expressed this, and I've expressed, like that I enjoy talking, and all of these things. Yes. So
Right.
that's true, but you're making a huge assumption there. Nope. You dropped off. I was like, I didn't know we came up. I know you're busy, so if you can't come back up, but I want to express that really, like, we have had great conversations and all of that. I have no, but I am just saying that, like, when we talk about these things, when we talk about all of these experiences, we have to recognize that that's only my experience. I had the experience of having this conversation. Right. I had the experience of being this. I had the experience of opening up to into a new idea, and it's not. I had the experience of you showing me something, right? That's not what this is. Because if you weren't open to hearing it, I mean, I bet you can go back to our first conversation, and if you were a different person, you might not be open to hearing anything from me. And I bet people who would have, in certain parts of their life, been able to talk to me and not be able to learn anything from a conversation with me. So just because the conversations are great doesn't mean you're necessarily open to hearing or learning or what have you, And you're going to have to sit with each of those things. And I bet after our conversations, you have to sit with yourself, so that you can process all of that. So it's not me, right? It's not me giving you anything. It's not me doing anything. It's you having the experience and processing it, and then allowing yourself to grow. Because if you, especially with someone with abuse in their background, if you were to listen to me and feel like I'm trying to manipulate you, you might close down. And as that happens, so it's like, really, and I only say this because I don't want the credit for, and that's not necessarily true, because I love inspiring people to be who they are. But I definitely don't want to, I don't want you to think it's me, because I want you to know it's you. Because you're so special and so important. And I could never understand you. And because I could never understand you, I'm not trying to guide you anywhere. I want you to hear this text and translate it for yourself. And of course, I do sort of explain the text. But I've been reading this text for 20 some odd years, and hearing, when out of touch with Tao, etiquette is observed. Well, that needs some sort of, understanding. When out of touch with Tao, so when you're out of touch with Tao, okay, when you're not aligned, etiquette is observed. We talk about, I really love this 18, by the way. So thank you, Mary, for picking it. But, when out of touch with doubt, etiquette is observed. What's etiquette? Etiquette is, women and children first. But before we made the etiquette of women and children first, it already existed. That existed well before we had expressed what it was. We just, at some point, were like, wait, this has to happen this way. And if there are men that don't align with that, we have to make the rule, because we need to save the women and children. Now, when in touch with doubt, maybe you're not going to align with etiquette so much. Maybe there are men that don't want to wait for whatever reason, right? But because men can overpower women and children, I think, we make the rule. The etiquette is now women and children first. And I'm sure there are men today who would, they won't be able to abide that. So they find excuses to make it proper. That's when they talk about, equality or whatever. Oh, they want equality, so everybody, it's like, no, that's like, there's a core thing in nature where women and children need to go first and men need to stay behind. Like, we are forfeit. Like, I agree with that. Like, I love women and the fact that they can have children and children. Like, I am forfeit when it comes to that, right? Like, I am less important. And I agree with that. And so, like, but that's, I don't know if that's etiquette, but I believe in the old, I believe this is Tao within me that says, oh no, yeah, I'll take one for the team in that way. And this goes on. When excuses gut the family, chaos favors the hierarchy. When all the neighbors are in chaos, blind loyalty is demanded. So that's 18. Of course, Julie, it's okay. I'd love to chat with you. Thank you, Mary, for 18. Good luck at school today. Julie, Julie came up and then went away. Are you good? No, maybe something happened. Maybe she lost internet or something. Didn't know. I want to know what's going on with the van. Okay, so we're gonna go back to 57 so that we can talk about all laws are in the heart, right? And so looking between 18 and is this Julie? Oh, this is Melissa. Oh, wonderful. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm well, Martin John. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderfully. Life is easy.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. How's it going with you? Yeah, it's been a couple days. Last time we talked, it was a little emotional. How's it going?
That seems to be how I roll, Martin.
That's good.
Got lots and lots of emotions right now. Doing okay. Mom's in the hospital, so, that's tough. But, she's going to be okay. I'm claiming it.
What's going on in the hospital?
Well, she's a trooper. Mom's had cancer. This is her second cancer diagnosis, but they've been doing like an infusion therapy because she wasn't strong enough for the chemo and the radiation because there were lots of complications. But anyway, she was having shortness of breath, and she had like lots of swelling in her limbs. So I took her to the hospital Sunday. They kept her, and I was able to. No, it wasn't Sunday. I'm getting my days confused. It was Monday. After that extra day off threw me off. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they kept her, and then I was able to go and visit her after school yesterday, which made me feel a lot better. Seeing that the nurse seemed to be trying to take good care of her, and that's where I am. But it was interesting. I was listening to you reading number 18 with Mary, and it was making me think of my daughter. But we had a wonderful time on Saturday. I just have to tell you that we had a crab feast, and she came, and I was just light and loving, and it was so wonderful. But it's just living life and rolling with it, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know about Julie's band too. I don't know what's going on. I hope her band is okay. But if you have time, can I pick a number real quick?
Absolutely, yeah.
How about 21?
21. Tao is not temporary. Okay, so this one is a little longer, not extremely long, but I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then we'll break it down, and we'll see what pops up to you right now. And first off, I'm so glad to hear that you and your daughter had a good time, and that there was openness there.
And love, Martin. You got to have love, right?
Yeah, and it starts with you.
Right, and then the love was received too, so that was wonderful.
Yeah, because it's not always the case, and it shouldn't be a prerequisite for you. Like, she doesn't have to receive it, but you just continue to give it anyway.
That's true.
So 21 is entitled Tao is not temporary. That initially for me always brings up, well, then maybe everything else is temporary. So let's go ahead and read this and see what it has to say. The master is at peace, knowing she is of manifestation, and that manifestations are always temporary. Knowing this, she always follows Tao. How can she be at peace knowing she is temporary? Because she doesn't cling to her life or ideas, and she is still fulfilled. Tao cannot be fathomed or known. How can she follow it? She allows it to lead her from moment to moment. Tao is and is always, even before the manifestation of time and space. Tao is beyond both temporary and forever. How do I know this is true? The evidence is within me as it is within you. Did anything stand out to you there?
There was a part where you were talking about the manifestations are temporary, so it kind of made me think of, that the fact that mom's in the hospital, it's just temporary. The thing with my daughter, it's just temporary. So these things that are going on in life are just temporary, That was what really stuck out to me.
Yeah. And it needs to be understood also that life is temporary.
This is true.
And so often we get wrapped up in the permanence of things. They'll always be there, or they'll never come back, or this is always going to be this way. I tell people all the time, like clients and things, when they're having a rough time and can't get over it, I say, look, if you think this is not going to change, you're not thinking clearly. And if you're not thinking clearly, stop thinking. Because it's not going to do you any good if you can't think clearly. So as this reads, The master is at peace knowing she is of manifestation, and that manifestations are always temporary. And then it asks questions. How can she do this? But if we can take that and just sort of think about it in terms of like, hey, I'm not my identity. I'm not a teacher. I happen to be doing that right now, but that can change at any time. Why? It's temporary. And maybe I can try something else. The reason that we can try something else is because life is temporary. We get into the idea that, we don't think about the fact that we're going to die. That's not a pleasant idea.
No, it's not.
Because we don't know what's going to be on the other side. We don't know.
True.
We want to. We want to have faith and believe, but we can't know. And the thing is when we can recognize that we're part of everything and that you and I are connected and that you're living, like there is a part of you that is Tao, that is living my life with me, and like we're here like doing this together. When we can think about it that way, we're like, oh wait, I don't have to do one thing for my entire life. I don't have to be this identity forever. Temporary. Life is, and if I have passion to write a book, but I don't have the energy or the wherewithal to do it, I don't have to. Maybe that'll happen some other time. Or I'm going to go ahead and try and muster the energy to do it. It doesn't really matter because life is temporary. And in some ways we can start thinking about, well, I'm going to have another life, just not this one. So let me use this one to the best of my ability. And I don't have to make the right choice, but I just have to make a choice and do something. And then I can always change my mind. I can always try something else. And if I'm unhappy, why be unhappy? Because that's temporary too. What if I can do something else? Can I ask what kind of cancers your mom has?
Right now is anal is what they're treating. It's an anal cancer.
No. Okay.
But that was from the radiation, and she had cervical cancer originally, and then they radiated, and then that's what ended up with some problems, and now it's anal cancer, and but yeah, I mean,
okay, so
the thing go ahead.
If I can speak a little bit, so that's root chakra stuff. Okay, so that's like root and sacral chakra. So these are the like chakra 1 and 2, like some people talk. It's red and orange are the colors of those chakras, and so you might want to, if you're bringing flowers, keep them in the red and orange range. If you are,
that's funny. Her favorite color is red.
Okay, good. Make sure that she's surrounded by as much red as possible. So that's root chakra. That's where we started. And you're going to want to support that chakra. My guess is she has lived in times of unsurety, like not being really rooted. So yeah, so this is all caused by fear. Really, of not being rooted, of not knowing, and not being able to give into not knowing. Like we're talking now about the idea of like it's okay to not know. Your mom probably struggles with that a bit, and that can cause illness, like struggling and being fearful.
I think you might have the wrong trailer. What trailer? Sorry, Martin. Which trailer are you looking for?
Trailer 24.
So this is T23, even though it has the 24 on the number. I think that's why. So I think 24 might be the one next door.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, there were
quite
some
all right.
guys that were coming to try to repair a leak in the floor or a hole in the floor that's not here.
But so I would say, and we could even relate that back to Tao as temporary. Like, yes, this is temporary. When you say everything is going to be okay, that's true. However, do you have an expectation of what okay looks like? So, because if you have an expectation of what okay looks like, and it turns out to not be aligned with the way okay actually turns out, you're not going to actually believe it turned out okay.
I think that it's more that I'll be okay is probably a better way to express what I was trying to say.
Okay, good.
Because, yeah, I'm learning, and I can't say I've mastered it yet, but I'm learning that whatever life throws at you, you just have to be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you were saying, it's temporary. The manifestation is temporary. So whatever is going on at this present moment it's just temporary. And so I just have to be the best Melissa that I can be and deal with the situation the best way that I can. And like you said, doing things like getting her things that are read to support that, because, you know, that I do want to be there. And, you know, it's sadly to say our time together is temporary, you know?
That's right. And it's all, and that's beautiful because you can respect this time with her. When you think nothing is going, like they're not going anywhere, you often don't respect that time. It's when you take things for granted. But when you can be in the space of like, no, this is temporary, then you can see the beauty in this moment, the beauty in the frustration, the beauty in the argument, the beauty in the sweetness in it all. You know, and you can support. And you know, when I would focus a little bit, you know, do a little Google search on root chakra support,
Okay.
and find things that you can do, and just focus on solidity. Focus on, you know, like when you're with your mom, just sort of in the back of your mind, kind of picture like heavy, like stones or bricks and things that sit in the ground and can't be moved and are very predictable. Because when you do that, when you just focus on that energy, your mom's going to pick up on that. And that could help her release some of this fear of the unknown, because I'm sure she's in that still.
Absolutely.
And just kind of focusing on, you know, like focusing on that area, like right in her crotch, just like that's where a lot of this energy, this root energy is centered. So, you know, red in your heart, just open up to allow her energy to be supported.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. And maybe Julie will come on now and tell us what's going on with her van. And I hope all is well with her and her van. I hope Mary has a wonderful first day in her classes. And I hope your day is wonderful as well, Martin.
Oh, thank you, Melissa. I love you. You have a wonderful day. My best to your mom, sweetie. And we're going to bring up Julie.
Hurrah!
Hey.
That was my answer, because I tried to join a couple of times. I didn't really get a notification that you were doing your live for Martin John. So I saw you there and clicked on my notifications, Martin John's live. So I tried to join that way, and, you know, I couldn't get on. But my golly, am I glad I didn't. Got to hear Melissa.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be able to be with her for a little bit, send her some love. And some kind of clarity and peace for her. and all her family and all of the things that she is noticing and experiencing, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was kind of really pleasant. So thank you for that. The van, we won't know anything about the van until the 18th. I sent you a message to say
I saw that. I saw that just now.
So I will, once he's had a diagnosis, I'll come up and let you know what's going on with it.
All right, good. So are you grounded until the 18th?
Well, I can drive it if I'm very careful, but I am trying to look after it a little and give it a little bit of a rest. Okay. And just actually look at what's going on when it isn't being driven. Let's see if any liquid's disappearing or, any pools are on the drive or, all of those sort of things. So I'm kind of doing a bit of study with it, really.
No, good.
Just seeing how it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, just being curious.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
And just allowing things to be as they are, really.
Right.
So, so that's where we are with that. And I will, come up and let you know what's going on with it when the time comes.
Plenty of time before the 18th.
I know. I can fill my time with things, whatever comes my way.
Yeah.
Mostly petting and loving on these cats.
Are you locally just watching pets again?
Yeah. I've gone back to one that I did during around about May time.
Oh, nice.
We came in May and went in June. And we've done a couple of return visits to people, which is really lovely because it means you kind of, the pets, the cats and the dogs, they know you.
Right.
Because of how you make them feel. That sounds really strange, but it's true.
I bet. Well, that's beautiful. And I'm really excited that you guys are on this amazing adventure and it's fun.
It is fun. Yeah, it's fun. Whatever it throws, it is fun. It's great to be experiencing it. That's the biggest gift. I get to.
Yeah. And even when you talk, I can just hear you smiling.
Yeah.
It's life is easy.
It's all right. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it, Martin John, because we know as soon as I say that what happens.
Oh yeah, well, and that's that's like the energy. We're talking about Melissa's mom and the energy that she carries and the fears that she has, and we create those things, and it's not that we quote unquote deserve it, but these are lessons that we need to have.
Yeah.
And when you say, I'm not going to say it, we recognize, that could bring something up in my mind. My mind isn't always my own. It's not like I can, once I say life is easy, I start going, oh, look at all the hard things. And the Tao talks about that. Once you describe something as straight, we see how crooked it is.
That's the one. That's exactly spot on the money there, Martin John. That's why it's an experience.
That's right.
It's making me smile, which is nice. But even saying nice, do I want to say that? Oh, just let's avoid that. Let's keep it in the balance here. Let's keep balance.
Right. So let's go ahead and pick a number.
I have picked a number, and it is number 33.
You Are Not Manifestation is the title. I've been doing this thing where I look at the titles and I start to just address those so that we know what we're in for. Because it's so difficult sometimes to just listen to it blankly the first time, even if you've heard it before, but listening to it. So I always like to kind of you are not manifestation. What is this going to be talking about? It's going to be talking about the idea that I am Tao. I am greater than this experience. I am not just this body. We look at number 21 that we read with Melissa, and it was all and it talked all about this idea that it's not temporary. Tao is not temporary, but that means my body is. That which is me is not this temporary body. That which is me, you are not manifestation. That which is me is forever. It's
Yeah, it's just you're utilising this little sack of flesh. We're hanging around in that for a little while just to see what it's like.
Yeah. Right. So you are not temporary. Study others and gain some knowledge. Study yourself and gain deep wisdom. Controlling others takes strength, but controlling your ego and desires takes power and perseverance. Knowing that you have enough gives you wealth. Grasping for money and love forces you to conform. Embrace who you are and stay centered in that. And although you will die, you will not perish.
It's good, and there's lots of wisdom in there.
Yeah. Did any word or line stand out to you? And I know you've heard this one before, but...
For me, particularly, this controlling your ego and desires takes power and perseverance.
Yeah.
I like that. It's an ongoing battle sometimes to just see yourself in simplicity as an experience, having an experience, and not so much as, kind of important in any way, shape, or form.
You know, you are lucky because you're talking to the person who translated this.
I know. I know I'm lucky. Yeah.
So I used the word power very specifically. Because do you know, like, the Power and Force book? I forget who wrote it. There's a book that talks about the difference between power and force. When you force something, or when you use your power to make something happen, right? You can force things to happen, or you can use your power to make something happen, right?
Yeah.
And using your power is using that which is within you.
Yes.
Versus trying to force things to your will. Right? And so that line, but controlling your ego and desires takes power, not force, right? You're not trying to force your ego and desires to do anything. It takes power. And, we can look at willpower, but just as I say before, willpower is going to fail you at some point.
Yeah, it's not going to be present.
It's not always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
But there is, and that's, but it is within you. There is power within you still. And and when you can persevere, when you can continue in the face of adversity, when you can continue in the face of failure, when you can continue, it doesn't matter. Like I know you've struggled with gambling on your phone and other things like that. It's like, it doesn't matter if you don't gamble for 2 days and then gamble. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, it's okay that you've gambled. And the power is in being non-judgmental about it, allowing yourself to do what you're going to do because you're going to do it until you don't, and then recognizing you don't like that you do it, right? All of that kind of in there so that you're gentle and you give yourself grace. And giving yourself grace in the face of adversity, giving yourself grace in the face of what we might consider failure takes power. And you don't want to collapse all of your efforts because you're judging yourself. You don't want to, like I know as someone who's been in and out of addiction and for different things, and I've worked with organizations and stuff. I've seen people once they have a quote unquote failure or a relapse, they stay out because they can't face those that they were trying to, quit with. They can't face themselves.
Yeah.
So controlling others takes strength. That's that force. But controlling your ego and desires takes power and perseverance. You have to eat crow sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you have to talk yourself into doing that the first time. The next time you're like, this is going to feel better. And maybe you still have to talk yourself into it. It feels better to get it off your chest. It feels better to leave it out there and not to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you can, you know, for me, I have been quite I've noticed quite often that I don't like doing this. So if I don't like doing it, then when it comes across as there's an availability in time and I've got my phone in my hand and going to nip on just, you know, play, whatever. It's never very much, but it's enough, you know, and I'm not enjoying where I'm spending my money because it doesn't really do anything. It's just filtering it out for no apparent reason, really, but with the hope of winning maybe more than I've gambled. But that never happens. The only person that wins is the person who set it up, which is fine. It's all good stuff. This is good stuff. This is a great conversation I have with myself. So it means that now that I press those buttons less, I don't have them on my phone to make it a little bit more difficult. In other words, I don't have the cake in the fridge. Now I'm on to the step where when I go outside, I see cake, but that's okay. We're there. We're there. Yeah. Yeah. Because it is so important to kind of put that across as if you are not liking that you're doing something, you are going to outside of your zone, no matter how safe you make that within your, you know, you're going to come across it somewhere else. And that's where that power of self comes in.
Yeah. Like, and perseverance,
yes,
right?
Yeah. I've had an experience with that and I didn't like that I was doing it. So I prefer not to not like that I'm doing something. I prefer to actually be okay with what I do. And that's when that decision comes. So it starts to drop off and become less of a focus for you then.
Right.
And when it's less of a focus for you, then you start to observe other things. You start to look across at other things that may take your attention, you know. Yeah. So that's where the power is, you know, looking in and understanding yourself, not berating yourself in any way, and just knowing that basically we're a simplistic kind of life form, really, not overly complicated. And there are these things. We now don't have to go out and hunt and gather. We can gamble instead.
Right. And, you know, and I want to bring us back to the first line, study others and gain some knowledge, study yourself and gain deep wisdom.
Yeah.
You know,
that's enjoyable.
This is where, you know, embrace who you are and stay centered in that. And although you will die, you will not perish. That means the person who is gambling Julie is going to die. But you're going to keep on. You're going to keep on. And that person is, you know, gonna be around until they're not.
That's right. Yeah. See, you know, it's a beautiful way of describing that, you know, along with Melissa, all situations and ourselves change. And when we change, that part dies and something else continues. So, yeah, it's good. You're not the manifestation.
That's right. Thank you so much, Julie. Joseph Khbaba is there. I don't know if that's the way I pronounce it. So we're going to talk with Joseph. And then I think I'm going to have to sign out. Let's see if Joseph comes. Nope, Joseph dropped. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. Mary, good luck in school today. I love you, dear. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Full of inspiration and education. Melissa, my best to your mom. And this journey, I know, is gonna be beautiful. And hold your mom close. That root chakra's, gonna need a little attention. And your mom doesn't know how to give it to herself. There's so much. It's uncertain. So bring that certainty in, bring that weight, bring that heaviness, sit with her, It's beautiful. And then we can be connected. And Julie, I love you. Give my best to those cats. Okay, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. This is Martin John. If you're interested in my Tao, you can check out the links in my profile. You can pick up a copy of the Tao Te Ching. You can also get my Recover Yourself workshop if you're struggling with any sort of living under the influence. Not necessarily addiction. If you live under the influence of your parents, if you feel like you're the victim anywhere in your life, my Recover Yourself workshop is wonderful for that. It's a digital purchase that you can make on my website. You can also connect with me, set up a phone call, and we can talk about working together if that's something that you're interested in. I work in this realm of recovering yourself. So it is all about you being who you are. I don't want you to even live under my influence. I want you to be who you are because you're perfect. And as I always say, don't let your definition of the word perfection rob you of yours. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.